In our last video, we discussed about growth. In this video, we will discuss about reproduction, the next characteristics of living organism. Most of the living organism, not all, almost all the living organism, they show reproduction. So reproduction is a method by the help of which the number of individual increases of a particular species. Clear? So by the help of reproduction, the species it continue its generation. By the help of reproduction, a particular species they continue their generation. If they do not show reproduction, if they will not show reproduction, then the species will extinct. After a certain period of time, after the death of the living organism, they will extinct. So reproduction is very important to continue one species. Clear? So different types of organism reproduce by different methods such as fungus. Fungus reproduce by the help of spores. Yeast and hydra they reproduce by the help of budding method. Planaria they show regeneration. Algae, filamentous fungus, mosses in their protonema stage. Mosses in their protonema stage they reproduce by the help of fragmentation. What is fragmentation? The body is divided into small fragments and each fragments by repeated division it convert into an individual organism. Unicellular organism, their reproduction and their growth is similar. There is synonymous. Why? Because if the unicellular organism divide, the number of cell will increase and each cell will function as an individual organism. So their mode of reproduction and their growth is similar in unicellular organism. But some of the organisms they do not reproduce, such as mule. What is mule? When we breed donkey with horse, when we breed or when we do hybridization between donkey and horse, the offspring produced is called as mule. Mule is sterile. Mule it is a sterile organism. It cannot produce similar type of mule more. So mule is a sterile. Sterile means organism which unable to produce offspring. They are called as sterile. But the organism which can able to produce similar type of offspring more, they are called as fertile. So one is fertile, another one is sterile. So sterile organism they cannot produce more offspring, such as sterile worker bee. In a beehive there are three types of bee. One is called queen bee, another one is called worker bee, and the third one is called drone bee. Drone bee represent the male bees, worker bee they represent the female bee, and queen's main function is to produce egg. Its main function is to produce egg. So apart from queen bee, other worker bees they are sterile. They cannot produce egg. Clear? Then infertile human couples. Some of the human couples after marriage also they cannot produce their offspring. After a certain period of marriage also they cannot produce their offspring. So they are infertile couples. So we cannot say that reproduction is the important criteria of living organism. These are the organism they do not reproduce but still they are living. So reproduction is not the important criteria. It is not the only criteria by the help of which we can say that the organism is living or non-living. So this is spores. You can see over here this pinhead like structure. These are the sporangia of the fungus. This is a fungus bread mold, also called as rhizopus, which is mainly grown in bread. And these pinhead like structure, black pinhead like structure, these are the sporangia. Inside these sporangia spores are produced. Inside these sporangia spores are produced. So fungus they reproduce by the help of different type of spores. This is hydra. From the surface of the hydra, you can see a bird-like structure is emerging. After certain period of time, the size of this bird increases and it detaches from the parents and develop into an individual organism. This is called budding. It is shown by hydra as well as it is shown by yeast. Amoeba it reproduced by the help of binary fission. You can see this is a single cell. By binary fission, it divides and forms two daughter cells. So now each daughter cells they are individual organism. Now each daughter cell they are individual organism as well as their number also increases. So unicellular organism their mode of reproduction is the cell division. This is worker bee, sterile worker bee. So they also cannot reproduce. This is regeneration. So planaria they show regeneration. The body fragmented into small pieces and each of the part they regenerate the missing one. Such as this is head. The head missing the middle portion and the tail portion. So the head they will regenerate the missing part. This is the middle portion. It is missing the head portion and the lower portion. So it will regenerate the missing part. So in regeneration the body is divided into small parts and it regenerates the missing one. It regenerates the missing parts. This is fragmentation. The entire body is made up of large number of cells and the cells are placed one above the other. So when the cells are present one above the other, this type of structure is called filamentous structure. So when the body is divided into small fragment, each fragment by repeated division, they produces large number of cell and functions as an individual organism. So this is fragmentation in lower organism. That is some of the algae, some fungus, some of the bryophyte also. Clear? Mosses, which is called as mosses. Multiple fission. So this is called multiple fission. In multiple fission, from a single cell, large number of offspring. These are the individual organism. After their growth, after the increasing in size, they will behave as an individual parent cell. So this is called multiple fission. So mule, this is mule, which is formed by the fusion of horse and donkey. Clear? So mule, they are sterile. They cannot produce offspring of similar type. They cannot produce more mule. So they are sterile organism. They are sterile organism. The next criteria of living organism is metabolism. What is metabolism? Our body is made up of different types of chemical. Our body is made up of different types of chemical. The cell contain different types of chemicals such as protein, carbohydrate, lipids, different types of minerals. And these molecules, they are continuously synthesized as well as they continuously break down. One molecule they convert into another molecule. So all this chemical reaction, it takes place in our body continuously. So the different types of chemical reaction that taking place inside our body, together they are called as metabolism. So in other words, we can say that the sum total of all chemical reaction taking place inside our body is called as metabolism. Clear? So metabolism is further divided into two categories. Metabolism is further divided into two categories. One is called catabolism, which is a breakdown process. Another one is called as anabolism, which is called synthetic process. If something is prepared, if some molecules are prepared, that type of chemical reaction is called anabolism. If some molecules are break down, that type of chemical reactions are called as catabolism. In catabolism, the energy is released. In breakdown process, the energy is released. But in synthetic process, the energy is utilized. Clear? So metabolism, it is further divided into two groups. Clear? So these are the different types of chemicals in our body: carbohydrate, fats, proteins. So they are breakdown. Carbohydrate, they break down into fructose, glucose, galactose. So all these chemical reactions, this breakdown process, synthetic process, these are called as metabolism. Clear? These are called as metabolism. So this breakdown process and synthetic process in our body is called as metabolism. And metabolism is divided into two categories. One is called anabolism, another one is called catabolism. In catabolism, the food molecules are break down and energy is released. Heat is released means energy is released. But in anabolism, in this process, you can see catabolism, ATP is released. ATP, it is the energy currency of our body, adenosine triphosphate. But in anabolism, something is prepared by the use of raw material, by the use of small molecules. Some large molecules are prepared by a process called as anabolism. And in anabolism, ATP is utilized. So it is energy consuming process and this one is energy releasing process. And together they are called as metabolism. So living organism, they shows metabolism. The next criteria of living organism is cellular organization. Our body is made up of different type of cell, and all these cells when work together they form tissue. From tissue, large number of tissue when work together they form an organ. Different organ when work together for a particular function they form organ system, such as in our circulatory system, our heart, they pump the blood. The blood vessels, they help in the transport of blood. Blood is a fluid medium that transport oxygen as well as nutrient. Clear? So together they form a system called as organ system. And different type of organ system in our body, they form an individual, such as respiratory system, circulatory system, excretory system. So different types of organ system together they form an individual organism. Clear? As well as these organisms, they respond to their external stimuli. Any changes in the environment, we can sense that. We can sense that and we show a particular type of response against that particular stimulus. Living organism is the only organism. Living organism is the only organism that shows self-awareness. So if we feel any dangerous in our environment, if we feel any dangerous situation, so we show self-consciousness. Clear? We try to protect ourselves from these extreme conditions. So you can see over here, these are the organelles. Our cell is made up of different organelles. Organelles make cells. Cells forms the tissue. Tissue form the organ. Organ form the organ system, and different organ system forms an individual organism.